Good evening from Washington. I'm Larry O'Connor. You can't have a conversation in this country about politics and the state of our nation without bringing up the name Donald Trump. The 45th President of the United States continues to be the most pivotal figure in American politics, not just in the last 5 or 10 years, maybe in the last half century. And we're so excited to have him join us for an exclusive interview tonight. Look at the state of affairs in this nation since President Trump left office. With the price of gas the way it is, and the shortages on our shelves, and the scarcity of baby formula to feed your infants with supply chain problems that continue to this day. Look at the housing market and mortgage interest rates. Look at the inflationary price of every food item that you purchase, every necessity that you need to run your home. Plus, look overseas with the disastrous pullout of our military in Afghanistan that left 13 service members dead at the hands of a terror attack. And then, of course, a war in Western Europe between Russia and Ukraine. We've just recently been humiliated by Saudi Arabia and OPEC. I thought the grown-ups were going to be back in charge. Well, how are things going to change after these midterm elections, and how will things change if Donald Trump decides to run for office again? Let's get all of those questions answered. I'm very proud to be joined by the 45th President, Donald Trump. Mr. President, thank you for joining us tonight.
Well, thank you very much, Larry. It's an honor.
I know that you're focusing on the 2022 primaries. You're doing your rallies, and I know that there's a lot of candidates that you single-handedly endorse. The latest polling shows a red wave coming. How much credit do you think you deserve for what's about to happen?
Well, I think we deserve a lot of credit for having done a really good job over 4 years so that we had no inflation. We had the greatest economy in the history of our country. We had the strongest border ever. We defeated ISIS. We would have never had the catastrophe that's going on in Ukraine. That was not something that would ever have happened, 100%. We were energy independent. We were going to be energy dominant in a very short period of time. We would have been supplying the world with energy. We would have made a fortune. We would have brought down the taxes and many other things. We rebuilt the military. A lot of things that we did that were amazing. And so I think in that way, I was the greatest help. Then my endorsement turns out to be, with the Senate, you probably heard 42-0 in the endorsements. And overall, I think we're batting at 99%. So it's been pretty strong, I think.
So now you know what the media is going to do. If any of your candidates don't win coming up in November, then they're going to blame you, right? You can't if you take credit for the win, but that means you got to take blame for the loss. Are you ready for the response?
And if they win, they won't give me credit.
That's right.
If they win, which many of them will, but if they win, they won't give me credit. And if they lose, they'll give me full credit for the loss.
Yes.
You know, so that's the way I know. The media is very corrupt and very dishonest. But the people get it. That's, you know, my polls are the highest they've ever been, as you probably noticed. And the people get it. But I think the biggest thing I've done is really for 4 years, we did despite all the scams and hoaxes and everything else that we had to fight our way through, you know, Russia and impeachment and Ukraine, you know, with the Mueller report, which it took 2 years and it was a fake. It was a fake deal. The report came out after two and a half years and said no collusion, which we could have told them the first hour. But despite all of that and all that we had to go through, and the people appreciated it because we fight. The Republicans have to get tougher and fight. We don't have enough of them that fight. You want to know the truth?
President Trump, given all of that, and I think that many people, you know, I was trying to debunk the Russian collusion hoax story from the beginning, and we've learned so much about it now. Do you regret naming Christopher Wray as the FBI director, especially considering what's going on with the Mar-a-Lago raid? And who advised you to appoint Christopher Wray?
Well, he was recommended by a couple of Republicans that were at the time we thought pretty good. Certainly, you can't say it's been wonderful. He has been disappointing because he seems to go after the right and not after the left. And so it's been very unfortunate. I mean, when you look. But I would say that the time is not up. We'll see what happens. He was recommended by a couple of people that you would normally listen to the recommendation.
Were these elected officials, or were these people in your White House?
Well, these were formerly elected officials and people that were around.
Okay.
They were rhinos, and sometimes you want to listen to rhinos, and sometimes you don't know they're rhinos until you had experience. You know, with experience, I know I know everybody down there now. But you make appointments. I had some appointments. Most of my appointments were great. Nobody talks about them. But, you know, we rebuilt our military. We defeated ISIS. We did so much.
Yeah.
And you look at the financial guys, they were fantastic. But, you know, you make some that aren't quite as good. You make some that are bad. You know, I have some that I wished I didn't make. The disappointment is always when you put the wrong person. Every president has this, not just me.
Sure.
So we'll see about Christopher Wray. I'm surprised at him.
When you say we'll see, I know that you've mentioned that should you run and win again in 24, you plan on doing a bit of a house cleaning there, especially considering the experience you've had. I got to ask you, because you're still, obviously there's still a decision-making process. What could keep you from running in 24? Barron, Melania, I mean, you went through hell. Your whole family had to go through hell.
Well, there's been no president that's ever gone through what I went through, even after I got out, because they want to keep me from running. The reason they want to keep me is that I'm beating everybody so badly, Republicans. And, I mean, I'm 40 to 50 points up on every Republican and more. Beating the Democrats, no matter who they put up. And that's why they want to. But, you know, they're misinformation people, as you know, Larry. They will say, oh, no, the one we want to run against is Trump, and yet they'll spend hundreds of millions of dollars trying to make sure that I don't run.
Yeah.
So, that, you know, they play those games. They have all these different hoaxes that have none of them have panned out. Think of it. A friend of mine has said, you're the most investigated man in the history of the world, and they found nothing. He said if it was him or anybody else that he knows of, within the first day, they would have found everything, which tells you that I'm a very honest guy.
When you saw that video of Nancy Pelosi on January 6th saying she wanted to punch you, what was your reaction to that?
Well, she's a despicable person, very bad for the country. If I ever said that, it would be a national scandal. With her, it's hardly even a blip. Yeah, do you think? If I said anybody, well, what about Biden saying take him to the back of the barn?
Yeah.
That's what I do right now. You know, I mean, this guy, if I ever said it, oh, that would be terrible. But he says it, they think it's so cute. Isn't it wonderful? You know, you'd blow on him and it'd fall over. So it's one of those things that I have to put up with. Think of it. She makes a statement like that, it's totally fine.
Yeah.
If I made a statement, it's more me than a Republican. I mean, most Republicans couldn't do it either. But if I made it in particular,
with you, it's times 100. It's absolutely times 100.
It's times 100, yeah.
You mentioned
Which
Biden.
is an honor.
I was thinking of you when this whole thing with Saudi Arabia and OPEC fell apart and Biden and America was humiliated. I thought of you specifically because your entire career, even before your presidency, obviously is all about deal making and negotiations. You wrote the art of the deal. Tell me how things would have been different had you been president.
We'd have no inflation whatsoever right now. We would be energy dominant. We would be making so much money selling energy to Europe that you wouldn't believe. There wouldn't be a war with Ukraine. There wouldn't be even a thought of doing anything in Taiwan by China.
Yeah, but specifically with Saudi Arabia and OPEC, because you had to deal with them. I mean, how different was it when we were energy independent? It was a much different footing with them, wasn't it?
We were energy independent. It was a much different footing, but we still got along with them very well. And we still helped them, and we protected them, like Saudi Arabia. We protected them very strongly. But they would pay for that protection. You know, they paid for the missiles. They paid for all that stuff. And they would pay for it, but we would protect them. No, Saudi Arabia we had a very good relationship with them, but we needed them less and less because we were energy independent.
All right, we've got 5 more minutes to come with President Trump. Keep it here on O'Connor Tonight.